Great question there.
Hi there.
Hi, Dr. Donnelly.
I was in the wrong one and I'm sitting there. Okay, it's 3 minutes and they're not there because the one that is on my calendar turned out not to be the right one. So I went to the Canvas site and I found you. So that's very good because I knew you would be there.
Yes, of course. We would not.
How are you guys?
I'm good. How are you?
Like my turkey background?
I love it. I love it.
I gotta say, I'm having fun with the background. I am having that.
They're the best.
So anyway, yeah, so we'll wait just another minute. I don't know how many. Oh, question. This is, I see it is recording because I did have one student that wanted to know because he couldn't come. Some poor guy actually has a test now. Who does that to students? Give tests at night. In my world, they didn't do that. But
all the professors. Dr. Donnelly, you should talk to them about that.
I'm not, that's why I'm not in charge. It would be a lot better, but not efficient, I suppose. Calculus does it. Oh gosh. Well, anyway, so it's recorded, so he'll be able to watch it tomorrow. That's good. Okay. All right. So, oh, Sophia, I'm glad you're here. Okay. So here's for Drake and Unchel. First, I'm going to tell you what's going on. These are my university research scholars, which are they're freshmen. And the second semester of freshman year, they usually take a course-based undergraduate research course. Because of COVID, we do not have the number of places that we have had in the last 2 years. So I'm breaking my rule because I have not previously encouraged this, but I'm breaking my rule and I'm saying, look, if you cannot find something that's really speaking to you and you can go out and find a project, I will swap that out because a CURBS is 3 credits. So if you do 3 credits of mentored research, then you could swap that out. And the reason I'm not so fond of it is because CURE classes are different, but this is a different world right now. And so then it occurred to me that if I was going to allow them to do that, they might need some help from you guys, okay? So what I'm going to do is tell you guys who are here that our 2 speakers tonight, I want you guys to introduce yourselves when you get a chance and also talk about what research you do, please. These guys are the experts in helping undergraduates find research placements, okay? So they are available Monday through Friday on Zoom for anybody, but I wanted to have a special session for you guys because you guys are kind of in a hurry right now. So, because if you're gonna do this, you gotta do it fairly quickly. So with that, I'm gonna turn it over. Anshali, why don't you introduce yourself and go for it.
Yeah, totally. So actually, Drake and I have a whole slide on just us because we wanted everyone to know who we are and why we are speaking to them right now. So we'll probably go into this more in depth later on, but my name's Anshul. I'm a senior on the psychology track, or I'm a senior psychology major on the pre-med track. And I was a career ambassador my sophomore year of college, and I've been director of advising last year, and I'm currently still director of advising. And yeah, I've been researching with the Center for Arts and Medicine since freshman year. I was an Emerging Scholars recipient, and I'm currently a University Scholars recipient. So I know how both of our really awesome scholarships work. So I would love to answer any questions you guys have regarding that, as well as the process of getting research.
So my name is Drake. I'm a third year microbiology major. I'm also on the pre-med track. I sort of switched research fields. So the first 2 years at UF, I did research at the USDA. And so it was mainly like plant biochemistry, things like that. Now I've switched away from wet lab work. I now work at Health Street. And so it's more public health oriented. Right now we're looking at how COVID has been affecting the Alachua County population and also actually like rural areas surrounding Alachua County. But very excited. But yeah, really nice meeting you guys. And I can go ahead and share my screen now to start the presentation. So research acquisition, again, Anshul and Drake.
Yeah, so I'll go into a little bit more in depth about my research now because I know Drake did that. So yeah, my name's Anshul. I'm one of the directors of advising, as we just said. And my research has been at the Center for Arts and Medicine since freshman year. My first project that I did with Emerging Scholars was on dance movement therapy in the palliative care system. I presented at the fall 2018 research symposium, I believe. And I'm still working on a publication with my PI regarding that topic. And my current scholarship with the University Scholars, I am working on a project that is all about how music can help patients with Broca's aphasia and help them essentially regain their speech. And that's a really fun project that I've been working on. I'm still in the IRB process, which is grueling, but almost there. almost there on the final stretch. But yeah, that's specifically what I do. And I feel like it's really important to hear about different types of research because I know a lot of times, even when I was a freshman, I came in thinking that the only type of research there is like the ones in the wet lab with the bacteria and the mice heads and stuff. So I always like to go into a little bit more about what I do because it's completely different from, I guess, the norm that people think about when they think about research. So yeah.
And just to add to that, so Anshul and I are both pre-med, but I also did sort of not normal research work even when I did wet lab work. It was all in plants, but it was like gene editing in plants, which is relevant to, I guess, in like all forms of research. You don't have to only do like typical, rat model type research for it to be directly relevant to pre-med. I would say any form of research experience is beneficial for I guess an application or developing towards a professional goal. Yeah.
So I was just thinking it might help you guys, since we have a small enough group, why don't you jump into the chat and tell them what your major is? And maybe also if it's a major that is leading to, like if it's pre-med, but go ahead and tell them so they know what you guys are looking at.
Not sure if I can see it because I'm sharing my screen. So Anshul, if you.
Yeah. I'll read them out as they come in. We also have a whole slide on interests. We have a lot of electrical engineering. We have biomedical engineering, aerospace engineering. We really love engineering here. Mechanical, aerospace engineering, biochemistry, cool. Physics, astrophysics, food science, environmental engineering. Yeah, those are the majors I'm seeing.
So it's important to know your audience and that we've got a whole bunch of not pre-meds, but it's important for you guys to know that the peer mentors don't have to be in your major to know how to help you, because the process is the same regardless of whether you're in engineering or history or philosophy or pre-med, okay?
Yes, absolutely.
If you want more specific, I guess, information on your major or on your, sort of career path that you're looking for, we can always find people that are. Really, we represent pretty much every field at UF, or we have friends that do. So we can definitely find someone to talk to one-on-one if you'd like. But sorry, I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good. I was just saying that exactly what Dr. Donnelly was saying. Like, our advice applies to everyone, but if you want to talk to someone who specifically has done research in a lab that you are interested in, we can definitely try our hardest to get you in contact with someone that is very specific to your field if you have certain questions about that kind of work. But yeah, Drake, go ahead with the slide.
So you guys probably already have your interest down, but we normally, begin by just asking students to really think about what you're interested in, why you're getting involved in research, how it plays into your long-term goals. Because it's important for, finding a mentor on the next steps, because, you need to narrow down the fields. So if you have time now, if you already, if you don't already know what specifically, or you haven't thought about it, definitely take the time to just think about it, write it down.
If you want, you can pop this into the chat as well, because I know we just did majors, but it's also important to know that, like, regardless of whatever major you are, if you have an interest that isn't part of your major, if you have an outside interest like a hobby or something that you want to see can be taken into an academic path, like, that is awesome. Like, I'm a psychology major and my research has nothing to do with psychology. My research has to do with my love for medicine and the arts. So, like, it doesn't have to be directly related to your research. So everyone just take a quick moment and think about 3 things that you are really interested in and pop them into the chat. I'll read them out loud as they come in, Drake, because I know you can't see them. Okay, we have linguistics, neuroscience, and chemistry. That's so cool. I feel like that's a broad range. I like it. Culinary arts, philosophy, and agriculture. Nice. Oncology,
That's
neuroscience,
really cool.
chemistry. Yeah. Astronomy, math, and education. I like that. I'm gonna give it just like 1 more minute. Anyone else who wants to send it in the chat, go for it. Game studies, math, linguistics. Cool. Awesome. Law, learning development, languages. Psychology, history, and criminology. Very awesome. Neuroscience, biomechanics, and biochemistry. Nice. Okay, you guys can continue sending them in the chat. We'll definitely revisit at the end. But this is a really great start. This is normally that we have anyone who comes into peer advising, we have them really think about what their true interests are, because research is a huge commitment. When you do, I mean, not to scare anyone off, it's an amazing part of your undergraduate career and you're not going to regret it a single bit, but it is a huge commitment. So you want to make sure you're doing something that you love.
So I guess I was actually going to say that too. Really, you want to narrow it down because it's in your best interest as you're spending hours per week. Like when I did wet lab stuff, it was 10 hours a week for 2 years. So definitely a pretty large commitment. So you really want to do something that you're genuinely interested in for the sake of, your own sanity, but also your lab and your PI. If you're not really committed to it, it's not going to be, I guess, a valuable experience in the end. So definitely taking the time and thinking about your interests, and then segueing to this, finding mentors that you think that you'd be able to genuinely click with and be involved with. That is important to think about, and it is time consuming, but it will pay off in the end. So we normally recommend making a 7 to 10 list of professors. I think of it kind of like an annotated bibliography, because you're going to go through and look at each professor's research, and sort of write information down, figure out if this is something that you could actually feel like you can get involved with and actually become, passionate about. So two things that we normally recommend. We have the research database on the actual CUR website. Miss Moses, I believe, actually put that all together. She did a really good job. You can toggle it as like you want like this specific field, this amount of time commitment, whether or not a publication may be possible. Definitely check that out if you haven't already. Before the database existed, we recommended people to go to the faculty web pages. So every UF department has a section on the website where they list faculty members, and your mileage really may vary because some websites are better than others. Some may have a ton of information, like the faculty picture, a whole like page on their research, their contact information. Others may be way more bare, you may have to do a lot more digging. But regardless, just find more information about them. So if you're interested in microbiology, you're going to go to the microbiology department. If you're interested in something more specific, so like gene editing, you're going to go more like biochem. You can also go to microbio, but just try to align or try to find professors that align with your interest that you had just thought about. And other websites that are good to find more information about are like Google Scholar, PubMed. You've probably already used these in classes before. Really just stalking them and trying to find out what their research is all about. And then again, you're going to write down information about each of them and sort of compile it in this 7 to 10 list. But also, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Vivo, I'm not sure if you mentioned that, but Vivo is also a great website where a lot of UF professors, their publications are listed on that website. But yeah, I think you hit everything. It's super important to look at both the research database and visit faculty web pages, because if you don't find anyone that aligns with your interest on the research database, don't just stop there. Make sure you're taking the extra step to go and look up professors on specific faculty web pages based off the interest you just sent in the chat.
Right, and Vivo is a good website to see if they're still publishing, because sometimes they may, like professors may be listed on the websites and the department had not updated it. So they might be retired or they might not be publishing in general. So, and we can like compile all the links. I realize I didn't include that in the PowerPoint, but it'll tell you like the most recent year that they published. So if it's within like, if it's past like 5 years, they're probably not, taking undergrads in for their lab. Just something to think about. All right, so the email. So now that you have your list of professors, you're going to sort of, I guess, compile that information into specific emails that you're going to send out to the professors. So this is a good time to plug peer advising, because we can have like one-on-one conversations with you on like your specific emails, try to, if maybe we can look it over to alter anything, but we also have a good, I guess, format, like a good template that we normally advise with. But in a nutshell, it's basically starting out to introduce yourself, why you want to get involved in research, who you are, what's your major, things like that. Then you're going to want to go into specifically why you're involved or why you're interested in that professor's research. And so that's using the information that you made on the previous slide. So like really like I'm interested in this specific paper that you wrote about, because things like that. This is really going to show demonstrated interest, so you're not just randomly emailing out 100 professors. They probably get a billion of those a day. It really is sort of setting yourself apart from the rest, that you put the effort in looking them up and trying to align your interest with their interest, and it really usually ends up, sorry, I lost my train of thought. You usually sort of become more successful in your research endeavors with that. We do encourage people not to ask for research positions straight up and not to include a resume. Really, it's sort of, your mileage may vary again. Some professors may be fine with that. They may be like, oh yeah, they're up front, that's cool, let's take them on. Others may find that a little bit rude. You're initially emailing professor asking for a position. The point of this email is to meet with the professor. So you're wanting to like build relationships. So that's what we normally advise. Other people have told me they've attached a resume straight up, they got the position, it was fine. But I guess as CURBS, we're trying to go more on the safe side. So email is to meet with a professor, and also can go in more about the meeting.
Yeah, so once you send out your very specific emails, I think Drake kind of touched on this, but you want to make sure you're sending them out in chunks where you're sending out the first 3 and then you're waiting a couple of days and then sending out the next 3 and then you're waiting a couple of days so that your like lower option, like your 10th choice, doesn't reply before your first choice. That's why we have you rank them. But after all that, normally we get at least 1 or 2 meetings. And when you do get a professor that's agrees to meet with you, this is really awesome. You're like on your way to achieving your goals. What you're going to do is we would want you to obviously meet with them via Zoom because of COVID, but still dress business casual. Unless they specify otherwise, but relatively dressed business casual. And this is when you would bring your resume and class schedule. And luckily everything right now is online, so you really don't have to print anything out. You kind of have it with you on your laptop. But what we do want you to do is beforehand, have a list of 5 questions ready to go. And that's just in case you stutter, you have a brain freeze, you are like, oh my gosh, you're really awesome, and you completely forget what you're saying. You have a physical list of questions to refer back to. And these questions should be around their research and things you're genuinely curious about. And it should be very clear from these questions that you have taken the time and effort into looking into this person's work. And if you just think about it from their perspective, like they spend so much of their time like doing the IRB and actually conducting the project and then putting out a paper and then trying to get it published. Like it's such a long process and it takes so much effort. So the fact that you are genuinely interested in their process is something that stands out. So make sure your questions aren't like random or frivolous. Make sure it's very much based off of your true curiosities regarding their work. Anyway, so after you have your 5 list of questions, during the meeting, I obviously just discuss their research and everything that you're curious about. And then at the very end of the meeting, you ask them if they have any opportunities in which you could like assist them with their research endeavors. And obviously, if they say yes, that's super awesome. But if they say no, the entire point of this meeting was to make sure that you are building a connection, building a relationship with this professor. You want to make sure you have a very good first impression on them, because if they say that they don't have any availability within their lab, that is when you can ask if they have a colleague that they could refer you to. And that's kind of key, because if this is truly something that you're interested in, I'm assuming that their colleague is probably doing something very similar. And if you kind of made that great first impression on this specific professor, they're only going to have good things to say to their colleague. So yeah, it could obviously go either ways, but both ways it's not like the end of the road. It's not like you're not going to get research again. There's plenty of opportunities from here on out.
Also, I guess something to add, also pretty much covered everything, but this meeting may seem, very daunting. It really is more of like you going to office hours and just having a conversation, more so than like an interview. Really, you are the one driving the actual meeting because you're the one asking the questions, you're the one that set it up. So I guess that's just something that I like to talk about, just because a lot of students are very put off by the idea of having to meet with this random professor that you've never spoken to before. It definitely is not as scary as it may seem. Also, if a professor like agrees to this, they're likely to be very nice anyway. They're probably really happy that someone took the time to research things about them, and it's overall not as scary as it sounds.
Yeah, definitely not as scary as it sounds. The most important thing is to just be genuine. Sorry, I see a question. If we get a few meetings with different professors, but end up joining research after the first meeting, would we still meet with the other professors or politely email them that we have found research elsewhere? So I personally would still meet with those professors. I just wouldn't ask them for a research position at the end, because you don't want to come across as disingenuous or like you kind of had ulterior motives for meeting with them. And you never know, like building connections with anyone is not a bad thing. Like if you end up really not liking the lab that you joined, at least you had this meeting with this other professor and you were able to make a good impression on this professor. And later on down the line, if you're like, okay, I want to switch labs and I remember being really interested in what this person was doing, you can always reach out to that professor and be like, hey, like, do you have availability in your lab? Or I don't know if you recall, but we spoke about everything that you've done previously. So yeah, I would definitely still meet with them, but if you've already in a lab, just don't ask them for a research position, just do it for the genuine curiosity aspect of it. And then, when should we start emailing professors? Would tomorrow be inappropriate since break starts Wednesday?
Okay, let me jump in there, okay? For you guys, in your, okay, by tomorrow, in your email, I actually have a template email for you to use, all right? And we did it for you, and I think it's not on your Canvas right now because we used it for the sophomores, but basically it gives you the way of introducing yourself as a university research scholar. And it also allows you to say the things you've learned in the research and creativity class. So you're not the average second semester freshman. So tomorrow morning, I'll make sure that we move that over. You'll see that it also assumes you've had a cure, but you just don't use that part, okay? So what I would do, given the COVID mess we're in, ordinarily I tell people be very careful when you email, and Anshul and Drake can chime in, but in this case, since you're kind of in a hurry, I think that I tell you what I'll do. We'll change the email to say URSP, and that one of the requirements is you find a research project for spring. So we'll try to help you cover the fact that you're emailing them at an potentially inconvenient time. All right, because this isn't the best of times. It's not the worst. All right, because finals is worse, but I think we'll help you in a sentence or two. And don't all use the exact same email. Like use the idea and make it your own. Okay. But in the morning, I will promise you by 10 a.m. there will be the template somewhere you can find. Okay. And I would go ahead. And I just want to chime in one more thing and then I'll be quiet. They did mention that you should have a list of people. And that's because some people are going to say no. All right. And they're going to say no because there's COVID. They're going to say no because they don't have any room for any more undergrads. So you don't take it personally. You just keep plugging away, which is why you keep trying. And the most common question is, I'm a freshman. I don't know anything. They know that. They don't expect you to know anything. And there are some faculty who won't take you because you're a freshman that doesn't know anything. But there's many more who want you because you're a freshman who doesn't know anything, because they figure they can get you young, treat you right, train you, keep you. And by the time you're graduating, you're running their lab and you're a master's level thinker. Okay. So that's another thing. Don't feel, oh, I don't have anything to offer. Yeah, you do. You're smart and you've learned some stuff from research and creativity. And the only ones that are going to talk to you are the ones that are open to that. Okay. And now I'll be quiet.
That is all extremely good points. That is a point that we always talk about with freshmen. A lot of people are definitely discouraged in applying for, or searching for research, because they may feel like they don't have enough coursework to sort of, I guess, teach them the skills that they need in the lab. But like she said, really that's not what they're looking for. They're really looking for the drive, the developing passion for research. And a lot of PIs that I've talked to really have echoed the fact that it is harder to reteach someone that has already, developed poor mistakes in a lab than to just teach a freshman, new, and have them grow in the next 4 years. So definitely being a freshman is not a, it's not something bad. It's definitely, it may even be to your advantage.
Yeah, I totally agree with everything Drake's saying. And that kind of goes into Caitlin's question. She said, can you briefly touch on what should be included in our resume and that we bring to them in our meeting? Since we are freshmen, would this include high school activities and accomplishments? Yes, absolutely. Because you are a freshman, obviously no one is going to expect you to have like 1,000 things on your resume that you did in college. Like if you have started anything, obviously include those, but definitely include the major accomplishments that you've had as a high schooler, and focus your resume more on the transferable skills that you have that would look really good in lab, like teamwork, leadership, drive, commitment. Those are skills.
Reliability.
Those are skills that are going to be valued in any lab, regardless of what type of lab it is. So if you can highlight those skills that are useful, and even if they might ask you like, oh, like what can you bring to the table? Those are the things that you can bring to the table. The fact that you are a URSP student is really awesome. And that is already kind of giving you a little bit of an edge when you do these meetings. And also the fact that you guys, I'm assuming, are all really awesome, and you are going to have those awesome transferable skills that you can totally talk about during this meeting. I hope that cleared that up a little bit. But yeah, and it's also awesome that Dr. Donnelly already has like an email template for you guys. You guys are lucky. This is so awesome. So kind of on that note, things that we want you to keep in mind for the future are essentially the scholarship opportunities and the research advancement opportunities that you will get if you kind of get involved in research. So firstly, we have our 2 really awesome scholarships. Those are the ones I mentioned earlier, both the University Scholars Program and the Emerging Scholars Program. So the Emerging Scholars Program is only for freshmen or sophomores who have no previous research experience before. And this scholarship, I almost think of it as like the baby University Scholarship. It's kind of like a stepping stone, and you do get a decent amount of money. You get $1,500 in stipend after you present the research you've been working on and publish the research you've been working on. And the thing to note here is that no one is expecting you to come up with an entire research project on your own and do everything for it by yourself. What we are looking for, or what the program is looking for, is students who have reached out to a mentor, and this mentor is going to write a letter kind of vouching for you and saying that they will guide you through this process. And you're kind of just helping this mentor do their work, and you're doing anything that they need you to do to make that project successful. And that's what your presentation will be on, their project, but what you've been doing within that project. And when you go in for the publication, you can do like an undergrad paper for our UF Journal of Undergraduate Research, or you can also co-author a paper that your mentor is already doing. And that goes for ESP and USP. The only difference between the two is that ESP, only freshmen and sophomores can apply, and you cannot have any previous research experience. And then USP, those restrictions are lifted. You can be any level, any year, and you can have previous research experience. And the amount of the money you get from the stipend is a little bit bigger. It's, I believe, $1,750 that you would get, and it's the same requirements of presenting and publishing in order to get both stipends. I think the only thing I would note here is that USP is a little bit more competitive because you're not just competing against freshmen and sophomores. You would be competing against everyone essentially. So if you are interested, I would recommend, and this is what I did personally, so I would recommend starting with ESP and then moving on to USP. Both are really awesome and I loved them a lot. So I know
the ESP deadline might be like now.
Okay.
Yeah, usually it's right before Thanksgiving. So
Okay.
that might be a little late. However, the USP applications are usually due in January and February. So
yeah.
that one is open, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah, thank you, Diane. I was pretty sure that would pass. So.
Oh, well, I mean,
No
university.
reason you can't, as freshmen, apply for USP because that's for the next year. So it'd be for your sophomore year. And if you don't get it, you try again the following year.
Yeah, okay, for sure, definitely. But yeah, if you have any questions regarding those scholarships, you can definitely visit us during our peer advising office hours. We would be more than happy to help you guys. But yeah, the other scholarships are McNair Scholars Program, Mark Gatorstar, and there are a couple others, but the main ones that UF emphasizes is University Scholars and Emerging Scholars. The publishing opportunities that we have, I kind of mentioned earlier, it's UF Journal of Undergraduate Research, JUR. They're really awesome. They you can submit research articles from any discipline. They have like a specific format to follow. So you just kind of look it up and you will find that format. We can also help you during peer advising office hours if you're confused on how to do that. And they have these really awesome like kind of like contests, like best research paper in the arts and humanities and best research paper in STEM. And they have, so if you are really driven and determined to publish something, you can totally also apply for those awards, which are really awesome to get. They're normally announced during the symposia. And that's the other thing that I want to mention are our presentation opportunities. Every year we have a fall symposium and a spring symposium, even through COVID. Our Mrs. Moses last spring, and our team with CURBS this fall worked really, really hard to create a virtual symposium for UF students. And I'm not sure if that one's still up for you to take a look at.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can definitely go ahead. It was done on Forger One. I'm sure if you look it up on the CURS site, you will be able to see it. You can take a look at what research presentations kind of look like, what the posters look like. Again, once you get to that step, you can definitely visit us during our peer advising office hours, and we can help you create a poster and also help you kind of come up with that elevator pitch that you would say to anyone walking by your poster. So yeah, I know that was a lot of information. Let me
Yeah, the symposium this spring will still be virtual.
Okay.
And the CURE classes, many of the CURE classes will present. I know mine will. Some of the others do, not all of them do. So for some of you, that will be your first opportunity to start your presentations. So you guys want to tell them specifically what the office hours are? And yeah, there you go. Perfect. You go. Good. You guys are good.
So we have virtual peer advising office hours. All you have to do is click that Zoom link anytime Monday through Friday between 9:35 a.m. and 3:50 p.m. We have trained peer advisors there at all times, and they are ready to answer your questions completely, any question you have. And that link is obviously in this presentation, but you can also find it on the CURBS site, and you can also find it on, if you go to our Instagram page or our Facebook page, we have it posted there as well. So yeah. Do you guys have any questions for us? I know we totally threw a lot of information at you guys, but
If you have a question and you can show your video, why don't you just pop in and ask it?
Yeah, Dr. Donnelly, I actually did have a question. I was looking into different researchers, and one that I was kind of interested in was Dr. Simon. I think he presented at one of our research panels in class a few weeks ago. So
Okay.
I was just wondering if you knew more information.
Which one?
Dietmar Simon, I think.
Oh, Dietmar. Yeah, he's in the Cancer Center. Now, the interesting thing about the Cancer Center, yeah, you can go ahead and try. The Cancer Center is not having undergraduates in there this semester, but they were planning on having them in this spring. Okay, so you could try him. I would branch out though, because the other thing they have, which you would want to apply for perhaps for next year in January, is the University Scholars Program that they mentioned. The Cancer Center and he runs it has 10 extra USP spots. And so they will be advertising and selecting 10 additional USP for next year for the Cancer Center. So I don't know whether that would preclude him from taking on an individual this coming semester or not. And my rule of thumb is you always, if it's free to ask and apply, you ask, right? But also I would, if you're interested in what he does, I would look for the announcement for their URSP program. All right. And it's really clever. You can apply, like I said, they take 10. But then I would also, based on what you found interesting about him, is find some other people to approach. The College of Medicine has been slower as a college to bring undergraduates back into the lab after COVID. However, it's very individual. There are faculty members that are doing it and there are faculty members that aren't. So you might just have to make a little bit longer of a list if you're looking at the College of Medicine. Okay. I want to encourage you to pre-med folks, look in other colleges, look in class. Class has all kinds of, well, first of all, there's an Emerging Pathogens Institute, but in class, there's also mosquito-borne diseases. In IFAS, in IFAS, there's mosquito-borne diseases, CALS, not class. In the vet school, there's stuff. So there are places you can look besides just like, I don't know, the College of Medicine, if you're interested in that. And it's like on Charles, she's got arts and medicine. So and these are things the peer mentors can help you with, but beside the Emerging Pathogens Institute, the mosquito-borne diseases and entomology, and then the vet school, there's all kinds of other opportunities if the College of Medicine is not as open right now.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
We can also answer questions about like what research is like at UF or anything UF related. We're both upperclassmen, so we're totally here to answer anything you guys have questions about.
So if we can't end up finding research on our own after sending out emails, will we ultimately just join whatever CURE class has spots available in the next few weeks, or should we email you, Dr. Donnelly, or how would that work?
Here's what I would do. Let's give this a shot, right? Are you engineer?
Yeah.
Which kind?
Electrical.
Electrical. Okay. What kind of electrical are you interested in? Do you know?
So far, I seem to be interested in dealing with like controls, basically.
Okay. You give it your best shot. And what will happen is if you are like get strike out right and left, then we'll put you in the interdisciplinary course. And you can, did you attend the session the other night about the interdisciplinary course?
I did not.
Okay, so the way that's going to work is you can come up with your own project, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then you try to sell it to your peers. And so if you can't find, I want you to try to find something in the electrical engineering department if you can. And if you can't, then you'll have the option in the interdisciplinary to try to come up with one of your own. The differences in the interdisciplinary projects are going to be secondary sources are computer-based because you're not going to have a lab, okay? But there's still a potential for you to do a project. You'll just have to be more creative and trying to think of something you can do with our help. So try the other first, okay?
And so should I email you to get placed in that if theoretically I don't end up finding something?
Yeah, let's do this. Let's put a, yeah, see, like I said, we're inventing this as we go because this changes, but let's give this a couple of weeks and see what you can do.
Okay.
And then because there's unlimited, the interdisciplinary class is online, and I made it so that I could fit everybody in it that could possibly need it. So you're not going to get locked out of that one.
Mhm.
Okay.
All right.
If you do find something in engineering, then what and you're not environmental, then what I will want you to do is sign up for 2 credits of VNG 4912, which is undergraduate research, and take the 1 credit engineering ethics course, which is asynchronous, so you don't have to worry about your schedule, and it's a course you need anyway to graduate. So anybody who manages to find their own engineering project, I'll give you that information again more formally so that you get signed up for the stuff you need, okay?
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. What else you guys want to know?
So I'm already registered for a different CURE course. And in case I don't end up getting a research position, should I just stay registered for that CURE course until?
Yeah, which one are you in?
It's the foodomics one.
Okay. So it's kind of a hard question for me to answer because there are waiting lists.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're holding a spot. So there should probably be, and I don't know what it is again, because we're inventing this, an outer limit to how long you should hang on to a spot if you don't think you're going to use it, right? Mm-hmm. So what will you be looking for besides that? Because that's really an excellent class. And if you got in it, what would you want to replace it with?
I'm looking to do research in astrophysics. Otherwise, I would do the...
In what? I'm sorry, in what?
Astrophysics.
Holy cow. Yeah, that's totally different. Oh, yeah, that's not in the same ballpark. All right. Yeah. Who do we have that you looked at?
For professors, I was interested in Dr. Ballard.
Okay. All right. Do me a favor. Do your best. Do a contact tomorrow. Like I said, by 10, you'll have that letter. Mm-hmm. Let's see if we can quickly. Yeah, that would definitely be a better thing if you can do it.
Okay.
So let's give that a shot for you, and then it will open up the other spot for somebody who would rather have the other. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Okay. Who else wants to know something?
I have a quick follow-up question to what you said about the engineering ethics class. So
Yeah.
I apply to students who take an engineering-oriented CURE class, or because they're taking an engineering major, or both?
Okay, so here's the deal. If you're an engineering major, and this doesn't count if you're environmental, and you're environmental, right, Willie?
Right.
This doesn't apply to you. Environmental, every engineer has to graduate with an ethics class, right? So this is a really good chance for the URSP engineers to pick up, and usually you're not allowed to take it until you're a junior or senior, okay? But we have our very own section just for you guys. So everybody besides environmental, I recommend doing that and knocking it out and getting it done. You can't do it because environmental is the only engineering department that insists on their own ethics class.
Oh,
So,
right. I remember you mentioning that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you won't either way, whatever, even if you took, basket weaving, you are not going to do, it wouldn't make sense for you to do the ethics class because you're going to have to do the departmental one. Okay.
Okay. That makes sense. I appreciate it.
I learned that the hard way the first year. So.
Well, I'm glad you're here to tell me now.
Yeah. Okay, other questions?
So I registered for like the ethics class already, but like I'm not in the engineering lab yet. Is that like an error?
Okay, wait a second. You can't be registered for the ethics class because only I can put you in it.
I registered for like the 1 credit engineering professionalism and ethics course.
Okay, well, that's probably not the right section because ours is departmental controlled. And once they find out you're a freshman, they're not going to let you take the other one. Is it asynchronous?
But I was wondering, I talked to somebody and they said I needed it in order to like get credit for like my internship over the summer. So that's why I was going to take it this spring. I don't know.
Okay, do me a favor. So what are you doing for your cure?
I don't have one yet because I have to find one for the research.
So you're either gonna, and what's what's department?
Biomedical engineering.
Biomedical. All right. So here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna email me and remind me of this, okay? And did you say it's asynchronous?
Yeah, the one I'm taking is 100% online.
Okay. All right. So let's just see what happens. Let's see if you can get a project, okay?
Okay.
It may not matter, but you can't you won't be in the Earth section. Because again, it's only, like I said, ordinarily they would not let you sign up for other sections because maybe because of your internship, they're making an exception or something. Could be.
Okay.
Okay, well, we'll figure it out, but shoot me an email so I can remember to put that in questions to figure out pile.
Okay. Thank you.
There's always a pile of things to figure out. Okay, what else you guys want to know? Everybody's got it all figured out. They did such a wonderful job, right? Graham, Chen, Morgan, anybody? Oh, yeah. Willie's happy.
I was just wondering when we will be registered for the CURE course.
Which one are you in?
The honeybee health.
Okay, so starting today, we started sending the roles over to the departments. So it should be imminent, okay? Today, Marissa started sending them over. So I don't know how long it will take the departments to do it, but we're starting to pass the information along, even though registration is still open, okay?
Thank you.
Mhm. All right, so you guys know that if you're going this route, I applaud you. You got help. You got the peer mentors if you get stuck. Tomorrow we'll get that letter up for you. And there is a bit of a hurry involved, so we'll see if we can't help you with that, okay? So if there aren't any other questions, let's do that. Oh wait, is there something else in the? Yeah, okay. No, that's an old one. All right, if there aren't any other questions, let's do that round of applause again for our excellent speakers, right? Okay.
Dr. Donnelly, we can also send you this PowerPoint so you can forward it on to them.
Yeah, well, you know what? This Marissa set this up recording. So I'll get this up on the website tomorrow too. So that, because I do know one student at least specifically was hoping for that. So, okay. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Drake. Thanks, Anchal. Appreciate it.
Of course, of course.
Thank you.
Come visit us during peer advising office hours. Bye, guys.
Thank you. It was real helpful. Have a good
Bye.
Thanksgiving.
You too. Happy
Yes.
Thanksgiving.
They stay out of bars. I never thought as a professor, my sign off for a class would be stay out of bars. But that's what it's been all semester. Everybody stay out of bars,
I
right?
know. Hopefully that sign off will change soon.
Well, except these guys are probably too young for bars anyway. Right?
Yes, true. We will stick with them, Rick and I.
Okay.
All right,
I have a super quick question.
Yes.
Will that email template be uploaded to Canvas or will it be like email?
Yeah, we'll put it in your Canvas stuff. I've actually already texted Marissa to make sure that by 10 we've got it up there. I think I'm going to change a sentence though to take out the cure part and put in the COVID part. We'll pray on them. Help us please get out of the COVID mess we're in, right?
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Dr. Donnelly, a quick question.
Yes.
So currently I'm registered for the interdisciplinary course,
Right.
but taking a lab during like Tuesday and Thursday during the time, would they remove me like out of my credit to put me in the class? Like,
No, what'll happen is when we try to enroll you, they'll say they can't enroll you because there's a conflict.
okay.
So that means you won't be, you know. Do it.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was trying to find.
So yeah, you gotta find something. Remind me your major again?
Biomedical engineering.
Yeah, okay. Don't forget that when you look at biomedical, there's a faculty list, but then look at affiliated. Because there are a lot of people that their main department is something else like materials or civil, but they all, or mechanical really, but they also work in biomedical. So, you know, spread your wings wide. Okay, because they do cool stuff. Okay.
Thank you.
All righty, good luck.
Dr. Donnelly, I'm going to pause it real quick because I just have a question about peer advising.